don't even need a calculator to determine the ranking if you all have already done that, if you know who your 1 and 2 is. So do you have any questions, or is there anything I can provide, or is there anything else that you wanted to know? Again, they're going to be your board attorneys, so I certainly don't want to provide any guidance.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
The biggest concern I have was, it's kind of hard to compare the two when one of us gives us an hourly rate and the other gives us 3 different rates, depending upon who's doing what service. So I don't know about the rest of the board, if they had a better grasp on that than what I did, but if you try to figure out who's gonna do what and what our total tally is gonna be is the only concern I have, if there was a way to make it a
My
little easier to
interpretation on
compare.
that is when I read Mr. McKinley's version of it, they do not charge for the paras, for the paraprofessionals. That's what he
Right,
said. So that's what you're saying is, so they've got Mr. McKinley's firm is at $215, but he doesn't charge for the paralegals, whereas Mr. Sniffen and Spellman firm is at $170, and they do charge for the
Right, yeah, there were
paralegals.
170, and then there was 2 other breakdowns below that.
So that's a challenge, but I don't think you really would know until you know exactly who's doing what.
Yeah, so. That's,
But price is only 25% of the ranking.
Yes.
The actual the total allocation was responsiveness to the bid, demonstrated abilities, experience, fee structure, references, and location.
And is our time to like make comments in front of our fellow board members?
I would think so, and then maybe if you came up with either a ranking or say you want them to come in, that would be the proper decisions to be made at this time. And I'm willing to help if I can.
We have these two people. We know Mr. McKinney. The other individual, we've had nothing from them other than what we have on our paper here. Frankly, I have no problem with Mr. McKinney, so I don't know. I really don't need you to speak to the other person, but then, I understand some other board members may want to. So that's up to you guys. So what do I hear?
So it sounds like you're ranking, and again, that sounds like the ranking in that case would be 1 McKinley, 2.
So I guess the other board members can determine whether you want to stay with Mr. McKinney or if you'd like to choose another one. Even though we've had some turbulence, I don't think that's enough to just can the whole thing. So, but we got 5 of us up here, so let me hear it.
I have a concern with location on the other firm. If they're solid in Tallahassee, that's great. And they're opening an office in West Palm. What happens, say in 1 year they decide, we're closing our doors? Will an attorney come from Tallahassee back and forth until we either put out another bid or?
Mr. Chair, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you understand I'm not gonna give you a recommendation. This isn't my call, this is your call.
Right.
But this is what we really technically comes into something called a professional negotiation. So that those questions you have, we don't have the answers.
Right.
So that's why it's important, if you so choose, to go ahead and rank them. And then you don't have to do it at a regular board meeting, you could do it at a workshop meeting and ask your questions directly to that firm, and then make up your minds. Okay, because you're gonna come up with scenarios after scenario and question after question, and I can't answer it, and neither can Ms. McCarty.
Right, so, and that sounds like that would be the direction that you're leading for, that you'd like us to invite both representatives back for a.
There are just, I have a tremendous amount of questions. I see the value and the challenges in both, and I would like to at least get them here where I can ask my questions, because, I think that Spellman and Sniffen and Spellman they bring a lot to the table, and I want to see, they look good on paper. Are they a good fit? Is it even a possibility of a good fit here? And I think that's very hard to determine on
paper.
on paper and to discredit what they could bring to the table by not meeting with them.
Understood. We could do it at the next meeting.
Tell me the
Does that
dates.
cost anything?
No.
McKinley will bill us.
I can't for this.
No. And we will gladly set it up. We have, the last time I remember doing this, honestly, was 1983 with Gavin O'Brien, who came in after a man named John Bowen, and we did the selection, was done at a school library. So it doesn't have to be in your boardroom. If you feel if you feel comfortable here or there, matters not. Tell us when and where you want it, and we will set it up.
Is the rest of the board in agreement with that, having a question and answer session? Or is it just, I don't know
How many people, let's reframe it, how many people are on the board are in favor of the question and answer? We got two.
how.
Only
I don't
two.
need, I mean, I don't really need to, so whatever you guys determine.
I'm willing to listen, but I'm not voting for
You're not
having
in
it.
favor of having a question session?
No, I'm not.
I
They've ranked.
understand what we've had and
They've pretty much ranked and want to keep with number, they've ranked number one, right? That's what you're saying?
That's-
Yeah, so they've,
I
three
have,
people
yes.
have already ranked at number one.
Who's right?
Sorry.
McKinley, is that what you said?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, is that what you said? You ranked McKinley number
Correct.
one. You ranked McKinley number one, and you ranked McKinley
Correct.
number one, and two people want the question and answers to re-rank, to consider ranking. So the question is, how would best handle?
This is your call.
I-
My job is to do what the board wants us to do.
Mhm.
If there are questions that need to be, my only thought on this is if there are questions that need to be asked in order to make a decision, we need to do that. I would say, I'm not recommending, but you need to do that, because you're gonna leave not knowing what else and all else and et cetera can happen.
Mhm.
All right, so that's just. how it
I'm
goes.
I'm gonna lay it all on the table. I am struggling, you know, my name comes up regularly in the Tampa Bay Times. And now the reporting on my issue with the Ethics Commission that I sought information for, the Ethics Commission says that me following that information was erroneous. And it ends up with me having this ruling. Well, now when it's being written, it's not Stephanie did her due diligence, Stephanie did everything to avoid this situation. It is, she was technically in violation. That's what's in print about me, because I followed this advice. Now, when I've asked him to please rectify this, please challenge on behalf of not only us, but please challenge on behalf of everybody that's representing, to make sure that we don't get caught up in this. Give us clarification on how you want this done, so you don't get tangled up, or Amanda, or Board Member Nelson, or Dr. Berg, or Reverend Brown. And he hasn't produced on that. He's given me a draft that he sent to somebody, but he's not rectifying that situation, and he's billing us. And that is something that I don't think he should bill us for. I think that was his legal advice. He gives it to several boards, but he's sticking Hendry County for the work on that, to clean up his mess. And, you know, we gave this man about $55,000 last year. I mean, he's not, you know, this is general funds money. And I'm asking you to think about, do you really want to ask questions and see if there's something out there? Because I don't want your name to be where my name has been in the Tampa Bay Times. Because that's awful. I mean, that's gonna follow me around forever. I don't want that to ever happen to anybody here. And so, I mean, I think it would be negligent of us to not have a question, answer, and
You can have
See
the
what
question
you-
answer, but I still think it'll come out the same way. It'll be 3 against 2, based on what's happening right now.
maybe minds can be changed in questions and answers.
Not mine.
I think.
I wouldn't
let's,
expect it to.
Let's do it this way. And I, Senator Abuser, let's go ahead and have our questions, we can hear it all, and then we'll make a decision then.
I think that if you wanna do that, do it. I'm willing to come at any time to have a question and answer or whatever. But having this huge company from Tallahassee coming down and helping us out, I don't like that. I think we could, if we're upset about anything that Mr. McKinley does, I think we should address it and say, fix this. I don't think we ever do that.
I do it all the time. I got hit coming out of the sub-office today by parents who were telling me that they've had to get a lawyer engaged with the district in the past, and he never told us. And that's one thing I harp on. What are you engaging in? Don't let me walk into a situation like this. Let us know. He's been told several times. He doesn't do it. How often do we get bored? All of the legal stuff going on. He's the one who is supposed to be communicating with him, and he doesn't. And you have to go run him down. And then that puts us in very challenging situations on the street and in dealing with our constituency.
My only concern is why are we only getting 2 proposals? That's the only thing that concerns me.
That's not unusual.
No.
That's not unusual at all. First of all, there are 47 firms who we sent bids to, and there are 67 districts.
Right.
It's the nature of the work. Some districts have their own in-house legal department. We're not big enough to do that.
No.
Okay, so it's just probably a nature of they're not interested in that. Or picking this up. You know, totally not unusual. When I was in another life with the city of LaBelle, we sometimes got no bids for legal service.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that's not it. If we were a big dog,
Oh, yeah.
we wouldn't have a problem. We would probably have our own legal in-house.
Right. Yeah. Well-
If you'll recall, when Mr. O'Brien left, we only had one applicant to become the board attorney, and that was Mr. McKinley.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not unusual.
Really, well,
I guess it won't hurt to have them come and present and see what they say, and I mean, there is always the opportunity to change your mind. So
Because Mr. McKinley raised his rates on us.
we can let them present and see what, no harm in that.
We
So
can work
whatever
that out.
you-
We'd be
what time you
delighted to
set
work
it
that
up.
out, to get both of the representatives then, if we've,
That
seems
can
to
be
have
done
enough
at board
interest.
meeting, right?
You can do it in a board meeting, if you
Could
would
drag
choose,
it out.
if you want to do that. You can do it in a workshop. The only thing is that we need to give notice.
Right, and generally we limit them, it would limit them to 45 minutes, basically 30 minutes of their presentation to you, this is who I am, whatever, and then 15 minutes of question is answer. I'd like to tell them in advance what they're gonna be in for, so does that sound like what you're looking for from them? A 30-minute presentation, 15-minute Q&A, or would you rather shorter presentation?
I'd say shorter
Shorter
presentation.
presentation.
Shorter presentation, more Q&A.
Okay, because that puts the responsibility on you, the board, to come up with the cues.
Like we
Plenty
want
of 'em right
questions
there.
asked.
Okay, I mean, I just wanna make sure that puts a,
Now,
Do it 15 to
No.
15.
Wait,
okay,
because when you're saying we're
bear
going
in
to,
mind, we have holidays coming up,
right.
okay? The next meeting is November 5th, and that is a very light agenda at this time.
That is a light agenda.
A light agenda, yes.
That's perfect if they can mobilize in that short
Yeah.
period of time. I say that's a great one to do it
Yeah.
at then.
You
Okay.
think we can pull that off?
Hope so.
Okay.
So we're
If
just
not-
gonna do it within the board meeting?
Within the
Like-
board
okay.
meeting.
And Board Member Basquin suggested 15 and 15-minute presentation and 15-minute Q&A. Okay. And obviously we want a little bit more Q&A, so
Okay.
that'll extend. All right, we shall handle that. I shall make the communications. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
any other? Yeah, Mr.
Yes, I would like to go over just a few things, and it's not gonna take us that long.
Okay.
I am meeting with representatives from HCEA tomorrow to discuss two things. One is the committee that we have established for review of the supplements. Secondly, we need to look at some, and we're just opening discussions for maybe some salary enhancements to attract people to certain schools in the district. We've done that before, and it's worth opening again, okay? Now, in a spirit of just total openness, my wife and I put our house on the market, and within 2 weeks it sold. We did not anticipate that. So by the end of the month, my new address will be 4542 Springview Circle in Port LaBelle, which will be my address for approximately the next year, a little more than a year. Okay, so I have sold my home. The very first people who looked at it made an offer, and it was what we wanted. And what are you gonna do?
Praise the
You know,
Lord.
we're gonna
Yeah.
take the offer. Okay? And that's all that I have. I know that you have been informed, now changing subjects, shifting gears on you, on certain things that have been going on in our schools for the past week,
4 in the
and,
morning.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully it will be calming down soon, one way or another. Okay?
I was surprised you were up that early.
Pardon?
I was surprised you were up that early sending out text messages.
Yeah.
4-something in the morning.
That's my way of work. In order to get, because we scaled down, the only extra time I have is you take it from your sleep. So I'm up at 4 AM.
Okay.
And that's when I do you'll get weird email times from me at that time, and that's what I'm doing. Because I do all that before I come in. Okay? So,
Does that mean you crash
That's
in
where
the
we are.
evening time about 7?
yeah, it gets dark in my world pretty early, yeah.
Yeah. I understand. All right, any other,
I'm done.
Mr. Baskin?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Madden?
I'm good, thank you.
You know I've always got something. So I wanted to just think out loud about and maybe ask some questions about potentially auditing our new hire files. And are we doing like reference checks to make sure they're actually being done? And are we running some social media searches and Google searches on folks?
I'll have to turn over social media and Google searches to the guys in HR, we will also work with the principals. But you have spoken to something that I've been addressing for the past few days. And believe me, it's gonna be addressed severely soon.
So that was, just something that has been rolling around, and just wanted to bring that forward.
Okay.
And that concludes.
Yeah, nothing, thank you.
You had a good trip?
Yep.
Okay. All right. There's nothing else? We adjourn.
All right.
Hey, Dr. Mundy, come up here and I'll give you some money.